Load as usual for the year. Everyone tell your family we're going to be live in a few seconds. Just need to download this and download that. Press that button. Go to story. Hit here. It's I thought I downloaded it. Download. Okay, so why is it not downloaded? All right, there it is. That's it now. The black combatant. Black combatant. Yeah, there we go. Sure. Hello, everyone. Let me just send this live. Make sure I'm not pressing the wrong button as I tend to do. The same image came up again. Fantastic. All right, where are we? Let's get the thing open. All right, so share screen. Windows. I'm your host, Rat Raven, by the way. If you didn't know, now you know. This is the Betterment Broadcast. It is 178th episode. That means 178 attempts at collaboration with the Black community to find solutions. Fantastic. Very nice. Oh, yeah. So, Black Betterment Broadcast. Don't forget to follow the Black Betterment Building actual page itself, which is there, as you can see on the screen. Let me also send this out as well. And I'll stick it in a minute. You go there. Done. Super fast. That's it. Now, okay, we're going to start as we always start by talking about the double dilemma. So what is the double dilemma? Let's break that down. So dilemma number one, that Black people can are individually efficient, but are collectively inadequate. I need to clean these glasses. Sorry. Let me get something to clean these glasses. There it is. Yeah, so I was like, it's going to make it more worse. So Black people can individually be efficient, but are collectively inadequate. Oh, dear. And the second of the double dilemma is that Black people may know a friendly non-Black person. However, collectively, Black people have no friends. Now, these double dilemmas should keep you on the path to do what? To practicing Black Betterment. That's right. So the problem is the double dilemma. That's what we're dealing with. It's a very big, challenging conundrum, really. Oh, dear. But the good thing is there is a solution. So you think, oh my goodness, what is the solution? Well, I shall tell you. The solution is Black Betterment. That's right. So what is Black Betterment for those who are new? Oh, that's not. Where's the thing gone? I don't tell me I got rid of it. Here we go. There it is. What is Black Betterment? Black Betterment is Black people helping Black people on Black issues for betterment. It's a lifestyle, an actual lifestyle. So it's good. I actually thought I lost the other slide. Look, it appeared there, so now I have to go backwards. Cool. So when we practice Black Betterment, there's three major areas we want to focus on. We call that the triple triumph, and that is Black families, Black economics, and Black health. So Black families is constructed Black man, constructed Black woman, but it's a constructed Black family. Can't stress the importance of Black love, Black families. A lot of the topics we do is about Black families, Black love. Many Black empowerment kind of shows stay away from this topic because it causes anxiety. But after doing much research, you realize that actually a very good strategy for fixing Black challenges is actually strong Black families, and also motivation and heightening the chances that Black men marry Black women, or at least have families and be constructive with Black women. That's very important. So that's like a primary, but it's one of the triple triumphs. Next one also is just as important because it also connects to family, and that's Black economics. See, Black people owning industries and institutions, and supporting Black-owned businesses. Hurrah! Hooray! Tell your people we're alive. This is what we do here. We do constructive things, or at least we try. And the third one, which has been unnoticed in my opinions for many years, and that is Black health. So say train and exercise regularly, eat healthy plant-based diet with low sodium and sugar, drink plenty of water, and watch your stress levels if you can. There you go. So these are important things, and we always, these are the primaries that we deal with, right? We sent the link is there already. If you want to jump in, please don't forget the 4D values, which is discipline, dedication, dignity, and discernment. Big up Brother Dominic, big up Sister Christy, and big up Mr. Code. Yeah, excellent there. Let's go on. So please don't use derogatory language if you can. Now, what are today's topics? Being Black, and that's not the way. Did I bounce down the wrong one? Hold on. Being black first in the world. That can't be the right one. Where did I save it then? This has gone mad again. Have I lost the actual? Hold on. What date is this? This is. So wait, what was I looking at? That's not it. While I find it, I'll go. I'll tell you what it is because I can see it here, but you guys can't see. Because once again, the PDF has gone mad. Sorry, guys. I've been jumping from project to project. I've been doing a whole lot of other things around London and stuff, and I'm just settling in. But let me open it and see where the. I swear I did it. Hold on. Let me just. Yeah, black people. We discussed black people should fight in European wars. So where's that then? Why is that there? But now I'm here. Let me actually move that around because it was actually sank in the wrong place. Family, don't forget to tell your people we're live. You guys are important. Never forget that. Without you guys, we don't have a show, and that's very important. And you guys are part of the platform, and you're on the good side of history. That's right. If you didn't know, now you know. I found it now, so I'm gonna bounce this down. This will probably take 17 minutes. So let me bounce this down. Let me put underscore there so we see it. 2 underscores. There you go. Save for print. Now that should fix the issue. Anyway, while that's doing that, I'll read out the actual topic. The topic is black combatants. We discussed if black people should fight in European wars. Last week we covered how black people were treated in the First World War, Second World War, and pretty much every war, to be honest. If you didn't know, no one likes black people. Now you know. But what it is there was a lot of. I think I was on a show where there was some European individuals who were causing confusion, and I was trying to, like normal, motivate black people to be constructive, which is very challenging at times, I can assure you. And then naturally, non-black people were there to cause confusion, which only they can answer why they do that so much. But I think I was trying to give examples of war, and I said, back in the olden days, black people would go to war, but Europeans and white people were so on cold with each other that even though they hated the Nazis and the Nazis hated the English and the Americans and so forth, or the Allies as they call it, they would never give black people guns to be able to shoot the Nazis because they didn't want to, they understood about dynamics of white supremacy. So even though they're our enemies, they're still, even though we can kill them, you can't kill them because they're above you, this kind of stuff. And then when I said that, some European, they said, that's a lie. So last week we had to show the video to say that's not the lie. And then this week, we will continue that. But also I saw a video on the internet, which I'll play now. So let me see if I can double click this as well. Get this out of the way, please. So it was in the way. Let's see if we can find that fantastic thing now. So this is some kids talking about the war in UK, because obviously apparently there's a war going in Ukraine, unfortunately. And I think they were just talking about if we have to go to fight. That's those based in the UK or Europe or whatever.
If they're going to war, what are you gonna tell them?
I'm gonna tell them to just like bro, you fizz, like for starters, you feel I'm going to war. That you started, like what? Yeah. Come on now, use your brain.
I know, why are you not gonna go to war?
I ain't going to war because it's like, bro, it's England. Why am I fighting for a country I don't like?
Oh, you know English?
Nah.
Where are you from then?
I'm from Jamaica and Africa, innit? So mommy needs to ship me to Niger, so I need to be safe. Safe.
Oh yeah, Mr.
Oh.
There you go. Interesting feed I saw there, and naturally I read the comments, and obviously, for me, it sounded like the kid had his head screwed on. But obviously, the people were going off from one in the comments saying, "Why are you in the country if you don't want to fight?" And and then naturally I bring up, well, historically black people fought in the wars, but we got killed and were mistreated afterwards, as well as during the wars. But obviously, they didn't want to cover that, so we're going to cover that. It's good to see the young kids there understand that it's not worth them dying for certain scenarios. But funny enough, just like I see a kid like that, who we give a round of applause for talking that way. And we also see unsynchronized brothers. This is not necessarily war-based, but it's more about self-hate. I saw this as well. I don't know, this guy might be some famous TikToker. I don't know who he is, but But this is self-deprecation that seems to go viral. Let's have a listen.
Oh, not funny.
Let's rewind that again. Did he say something? Did I even?
A black man takes a girl home from a nightclub. She says, "Show me it's true what they say about black men." So he stabs her and nicks her purse.
That's so not funny.
You know what they say? Hey, once you go black, you're a single mother.
I know there's some kind of new age comedy about self-deprecation. It's still going on YouTube, so there's very many unsynchronized brothers on YouTube. Before we go on back into the war, we're just gonna go through some of the topics that. Not how I'm gonna start now is when I go for YouTube and these kind of channels. There's always like these 10-minute shorts or 10-second shorts. So I just download them so we can have a quick view of it. So the sister talking about colorism. Thought it was interesting.
Because
okay, Barbie, she might have some issues here and there, but generally here's what she's talking about. But it's very important to hear sister's perspective, as well as special dark skin sister.
As a dark-skinned Black woman, I know that I am not the preference in every single community out there, which is fine. You know, I'm still a bad bitch regardless. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I noticed? Because dark-skinned women are viewed as undesirable in almost every community, some men feel like they instantly have a chance because we don't have many options in their eyes. And most of the time, these types of men who think this way don't even see dark-skinned women as their preference. They pursue us as an ego boost because from their point of view, they think dark-skinned women don't get no play. So they think that when a man approaches a dark-skinned woman, that dark-skinned woman is going to fall to her knees and feel so flattered because she's not used to men liking her in the first place. And as soon as you ruin their reality of the fact that dark-skinned women are bad bitches and we get play and I don't need your dumb, broke, raggedy ass, they literally lose their shit. I would be a millionaire right now if I had a nickel for every single time a guy went from pursuing me to lashing out on me just because I rejected him. Like, I've literally had men pursue me and they'd be like, oh my gosh, you're so pretty, like beautiful African queen, such nice skin. And then as soon as I rejected them, I became like a dark ass African booty scratcher. But yeah, when you reject a guy who didn't see you as his preference in the first place, ciao.
So there's some experience in there. There was some others about one play. So you know, always have to discuss the whole you know, the colorism or self-hate that goes in the Black community. Especially we have to listen to the sisters and their you know, what they have to say, and we have to find solutions. But obviously one of the triple triumphs is Black family. So the idea is to fix any kind of misunderstandings about who Black men should be marrying and who we should be protected. Very important. Welcome. Is it Zulia? Am I saying that correct?
Yo, hi there, man. I heard you on Kaizo's channel 2 months ago.
Okay. On whose channel? Sorry, Kaizen. Who?
Kaizo.
Oh, Kaizo. Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. In fact, is your first time on the Betterment Broadcast?
It is, man. I just want to talk to a Black Caribbean guy, because I have partial descent from there too. So I said I'd give a call.
Okay, well, yeah, we always look forward to new brothers and sisters joining to different perspectives and to spread the word of Black Betterment, which is what this broadcast is about. So thank you very much. Well, what we're going to do, well, to continue your joining now, we've got two topics. Let me jump on it. We've got two topics we're jumping in. One is Black combatants. We discuss if Black people should fight in European wars, and also some people. We discuss why Black people have also been called some people. That's a separate topic. We'll cover that. We'll cover that different point. But is there anything? Is it because I'm more than happy to talk to you and ask questions you want as a guest. We do that. We spend time. But the topic at hand is Black combatants. But is there anything you want to talk about before I go there?
Black combatants. Yeah. Just briefly, I just want to say, you know, one of the Caribbean islands celebrated 50th independence earlier this year, and I looked at the celebrations, and I was taken aback at how clean it looked. I was surprised by how well dressed everyone was. I saw no twerking. I saw no tattoos, visible tattoos floating around. And I often ask myself is why is there such a difference between Caribbeans in the Caribbean versus the multi-generational Caribbeans that we see, nowadays. I feel it's totally different. If I compared that to the Notting Hill Carnival last year, compared to this independence celebration I saw earlier this week, it's a disgrace. It's an embarrassment. And you talk Black Betterment. Well, I think that we've done a bad job representing not just the Windrush generation, but even Caribbean nations to this day, who are some of them are progressing nicely. Your Barbados, your Grenadians, your your Guyanas. What's going on?
Well, let me ask you that. Why do you think that's happening? If that's the case, why do you think that's happening?
I think in general, so one of my friends said it was due to the fact that when immigrants come to a country, that's probably the best generation that you're going to get, because those people are self-selected for being ambitious, driven, and they often have more of a work ethic. And then once you're born in the country, you lose that, because you're no longer part of the immigrant class. You've been born here, you've been raised here. You haven't self-selected for that hunger, right? That adventurism, that drive for money,
Maybe.
Um,
I think one thing we push forward is if you don't have any kind of process in play, whatever is around you will become you, right? So right now, certain other cultures have embedded in their culture that there's an expectation of certain things that has to happen from their children and so forth. It seems that unfortunately with many maybe Caribbean families, this isn't the case. So we had guidance with people like the Rasta community, the Pan African community, and these kind of communities where it's like they had purpose in place. Like, do this, you have a bigger purpose, you're part of a big community, you have to work together, and you represent a particular culture, a particular country, or whatever, right? Kind of missing that now, and that's why we have this show where it's actually openly discussing things we want to actually do. You see, but sometimes we have to have these dialogues. We have to ask people, like, right now, as before you came in, there's something we're pushing. You see, and we're pushing this: black families, black economics, black health. Right. So if we can get these in order, then we will see more of a cohesiveness. But you have to be deliberate.
Black families looking at that, black economics, okay, and black health.
That's right.
Okay.
These are the primaries, right? But ultimately, we're talking about black betterment, meaning you are training and teaching black people the value of looking out for black people, being constructive, finding solutions, building industries, having constructive families, being health conscious, and this kind of stuff, right? You actually are creating a community awareness. You have self pride in self and that kind of stuff. What you're describing is people who's lost self pride. For example, if you like, we'll give you a perfect example. Let me just before you jumped in. This gentleman here
takes a girl home. A black man takes a girl home from a nightclub. She says, "Show me it's true what they say about black men." So he stabs her and nicks her purse.
So this is maybe some kind of new age comedian or something. Who knows, right? But the thing is, he's very comfortable to use self-degrading jokes. Maybe his style is things that's not funny or taboo. Who knows? What I'm saying is he's comfortable to do that. You don't necessarily see that in other communities, if at all. To him, he's probably being harmless. He's trying to get clicks on YouTube. What I'm saying, he has not been raised with any kind of self-pride or black awareness or black betterment or B1 or anything, or Pan-Africanism or anything like that. But what happens if you just leave your children to grow up to the schools? They will grow up anti-black, because essentially the world is anti-black. Like, if you had to have a list of who people desire the most and who they hate the most, you'll find on pretty much every list, black will be at the bottom, right? If you look at the story of time, unfortunately, black people seem to be the good guys in the story, but seem to always be at the bottom, you see? So this is what it is. The world is unrelenting. There's no respite. But the only thing you can do is preach black betterment, teach black betterment, and reach black betterment. You just have to make it a cultural understanding. Now, I don't know where you stand, because I've jumped on many panels, but when you see black people acting in these ways, how do you react to it? What big decision have you made after witnessing so many black people or Caribbean people behaving that way? Because normally when people speak of this kind of like shocking revelations, they usually have a big choice they make or a big direction they go down. Have you said that yourself? Is after witnessing all this stuff, have you gone down a certain path, or you just observing as you go along?
From what I can see, it looks like I have to either assimilate to a more functional community in the UK, which for the most part would, if I stay in the UK, would probably end up being Asian, Indian, because from what I can see, the only cultures that I can see that's really growing in ascendancy in this country are Asian. They're the only ones that seem to be by far the most socially acceptable. The African community is basically an earlier version of the Caribbean community, from what I can see. It's just the Caribbean community is further along the line of what the African community will be. in the UK, right?
So let me
I
ask you
can
this. Let me jump in for a second. So you said that you're part Caribbean.
part
Is that
African,
correct? Right? So one parent is from the Caribbean, one parent is from Africa.
absolutely.
Right. But what you're saying is after witnessing certain behavioral patterns, you want to jump into a new community.
No,
Yeah.
I'm saying that if I stay in the UK and I wanted to have a good outcome, unless a sizable amount of black people unite to do as you've said, which is the correct action, I agree.
Right.
I don't think you're going to get a critical, I hope you do, a critical mass of people doing that. Otherwise, if I do stay in the UK and I want to have a successful child, academically functional, not poor, not stabbed, you'd have to assimilate into another culture in the UK. Okay. Now, if I don't want to do that, I'd have to move to a functional black majority country in the Caribbean, of which there are a few, and maybe Africa, but Africa's a bit of a mess right now.
So have you not? So I spoke to, and I think the show I jumped on, maybe some other gentlemen shared your same views. But have you never thought that, let's say there is mass disorganization? Have you thought that there might be like some solace or solutions in a smaller group? Have you ever thought about that?
When you say smaller group, how small?
Well, you can choose to hang around synchronized or constructive black people who are forward driven, but here's what it is. Here's what I find. And you have to let me know where you stand. There's obviously different types of black people in the world, and I can't jump in the minds of everyone. But I say this: there are those who can recognize the challenges and recognize that black people have, in some areas aspect have been forced or pushed down the wrong path. But then their solution to that is to then join another community or leave the black community. And I'm saying that might be part of the continuation problem, where leaving a problem seems to be the easiest option, when realistically creating a smaller group and trying to actually form solutions might be a much more better scenario. Do you not think that actually fixing and fighting might be better than fleeing? And
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree with you. There's a whole continent that's in that position now because people are fleeing instead of fixing it. I know. Don't worry.
Because what you're going to find is no matter where you run, you're going to see the same outcome and you're going to see the same dilemma. I don't know if you start, but we start very important, something that you should take away. It's very important for you to remember. And the best thing you can remember from this show is what we call the double dilemma. And that is, one, black people can be individually efficient but are collectively inadequate. And two, black people may know a friendly non-black person. However, collectively, black people have no friends. And the reason why that's important is it's almost like when you go to like a meeting, an alcohol anonymous meeting, and you say, my name's Jim and I'm an alcoholic. It's actually recognizing the challenge we go through. By the same token, we say there's two types of black people, and that's the conquered black person and the conquering black person. Yeah. Now, when the conquered black person hears this truth, they usually go and break down. They usually have a runaway, or they just like they can't function, right? Or they just pretend it's not there, and they carry on as they were. But then when the conquering black person hears this, he goes, okay, well, I'm going to find other conquerors to actually conquer this problem. I'm going to work, and it's going to be my life mission. And there is no concept of fleeing or jumping to any other communities. I'm going to do this, and that's the end of it. So out of those two, the conquered black person, the conquering black person, which one do you think you're more closely to?
Yeah, see, I used to be part of the conquering. I used to be. I was, a staunch Pan-Africanist, as a guy who obviously is a product of Pan-Africanism in a way, right?
Right.
I was keen on that, but unfortunately, I've become aware of certain tribal elements, particularly from continental. Some, not all. There's some great continental Africans, particularly Southern Africans. They're great, yeah. A couple of East Africans, they're cool, yeah. Ghanaians are cool, yeah. But there's a couple of African countries, man. They really don't like people who are different from them, even if they themselves are Niger Congo people.
But let me say this. Let me say this to you. Why, when it comes to progressing, would you focus on those who are just most confused? So it's like this, yeah. You go into a shop, you pick the clothes you want to buy. A small group of people pick those clothes and they dominate in certain areas, and now you think you have choice, but you're doing it. So we know that you can actually get some kind of influence in a small market or a small lane and have great influence. So why would you focus on those who are completely unsynchronized with any kind of constructive thought? Wouldn't it be better to actually focus on those who are synchronized, those who actually know what they're doing, collaborate with them, and create the outcome that you most desire?
That I can agree with, and I see what you mean, and I agree with what you're saying, because I've done that. Because once I saw that, I left those people alone, but I did leave a bitter taste in my mouth when you go in there, you want to hold hands, and then what you get is get spat in the face,
Yeah,
because I was
well,
like you in that way.
well, that's why knowing that black people are collectively inadequate makes sense. Like understanding the history of black, like no group of collective group of people have been mistreated at the level of black people. Black people mistreatment is an ongoing cycle. It happens culturally. It's so normal that we don't even recognize it as a problem. We've culturalized pain, like we've culturalized mistreating each other, name calling each other, and being disliked. We're gonna start the actual show very soon, but what we do, we're gonna show about the World War, and even in a wartime, this is historical when black people were fighting to defend Europeans, they still despise black people. Do you understand? So this hasn't changed. This won't change. Um, but there is no other community you can run into that's going to show you any kind of respect at all. There is none.
I
Uh,
agree.
and the only respect you can get is the community you build yourself. So this is what this is about. So you can either be on the good side of history or the bad side of history. If in 20 years' time you have children or you have cousins and nephews and nieces and they go like, why is it like this? What have you done to change it? It'd be good if you could say, well, I joined hands with constructive brothers and sisters in the past, and we tried to promote black betterment. And everywhere we went, we did it, and we use this philosophy to make people synchronize with good choices, with constructive choices. But primarily, what we were doing was making black people value black people and work with black people for black solutions. And this is something that I would recommend. And if you are if you are easily deflated, then you shouldn't be focused on the unsynchronized. Like I said, that we have a saying here that there's brother in genetics and brothers in ethics. So you might be around the brothers in genetics, as in they're black, which is beautiful, but they don't have the same ethics as you. So even though they're brothers, you can't work with them. So we then move to the second thing. We say we either work with people by organization or we work for people or on their behalf by osmosis. You see, meaning we can't work directly because they're too unsynchronized, they're too chaotic, or they just have no idea what's going on. So you work with other organized brothers and sisters to create a better tomorrow. So by osmosis, those people can actually learn. They have been taught to learn to be self-destructive, right? They've been taught to be self-hating and self-destructive, whatever. They've been taught that. So you need to be part of the process to teach them to do better. Now, if you've never been told this before, I'm happy that I'm telling you this for the first time now. I'm sure maybe you have been, right? But what I'm saying is there is no complaining and being very upset by the condition of black people who get us nowhere, because this is part of the actual strategy, right? When black people were being destroyed, more clever tacticians were saying, okay, we need to not destroy them for today, but forever. How do we do that? We have to create ideologies and ways of thinking that makes them destroy themselves, right? So when we observe that, we can't just go, maybe I can escape this, or maybe I can go into another community because that was part of their long plan. So you need to play chess with these people. You see, you can't play checkers, you can't play guess who. You got to play chess too. Yeah, that's what you have to do, right? So Black Batman, this broadcast is part of chess. It's a chess move, isn't it? And it's having codes of conduct, symbolic ways, the templates and things that we do to guarantee black people progressing. Now, one thing I was asked, brothers and sisters, especially ones who might sound like yourself, is I don't know if you're with a person, but if you are, would you be looking to marry a black sister? Would that be an option in your life?
Believe it or not, I'm actually married to a black sister.
Congratulations, this is a good thing. So already, as long as you're constructive towards her and you don't mistreat her, then you are fulfilling a very good part of how black people are going to progress. You see, so there's easy steps, right? So we're saying black families, black economics, and black health. To promote these things, unite with other people, and to promote these things, you'll be doing your thing. Yeah, but I say this: try to hang with constructive black people. Don't focus on those who are completely unsynchronized. On the chart at the moment, we got something that says the innovators and the early adapters. So basically how it works, right? Whenever an idea comes in, 2.5% of the community, if they promote that idea, what happens is 13.5% of the community get onto it and they start adapting it, right? And then later on, 14% adapt it. This is how they call the diffusion of innovation. Yeah, it's how every idea, social idea, gets out there. That's why you'll have afros one time, or you have the new kind of dance move, or the new kind of phone craze. And we're saying that if you can influence as many people to practice black betterment, 2.5%, right, then you will start seeing change. So you don't need to have 1 billion people tomorrow doing one thing. You just need 2.5 of influencers to be on code, to be synchronized with a certain way of living. And that certain is gone. The certain way of living is this. And that's for those who are listening, right? Constructive black people helping black people and black issues whenever it's constructive possible. The brother's gone, so we're going to move on to our actual topic. What we were talking about is very important. And that is, let's go back to that first thing. A lot of good stuff here. Don't forget to tell your friend, tell a friend we're live. You guys are fantastic. We're going to go to the first topic, which is, we'll go back to that. We discussed that black people should fight European wars. So we're looking, I think the brother came back, but welcome back, brother. We're gonna play you some stuff of people in the war. This is So this has come back from trying to tell black people that even in the war there was mistreatment. So when you're fighting and dying for other people, they still mistreat you. Let's hear what brother saying.
I was served as a veteran in World War II. During the war, we were segregated. Now this part you don't read in the books. See, they hide all this. They thought that the black troops were going to take over America. You couldn't even buy a loaf of bread. How are you going to take over the country? You did all the dirty work. You helped cook, you drove the trucks. In other words, you were second-class citizen. And that's what it amounted to. Yeah, that's me. I was a little fella then, wasn't I? Well, I told Mother not to put that shirt on me, a hole in that sweater. She knew better.
How old are you now?
82. 92.
93.
93, I get them mixed up. I'm 93. I was born in 1925 in Lewes, Delaware, L-E-W-E-S, Delaware. I was drafted at age 18. I got a letter from the government that you have been drafted. Now what I couldn't figure out, as small as Lewis is, I doubt if you had 2,000 blacks in the whole town, if that's putting it high, and all of a sudden they picked me out. I think that looks like me right there. You were segregated. In other words, and if you went to the restroom, they had a restroom for whites and they had a restroom for blacks. You couldn't sit at the food counter. And you had to ride in the back of the bus, in the back of the train. That's just life. That's the way the United States was. We were segregated. But the thing that got me, I wanted to go in the Navy. The only thing the blacks could go in is the Army. And so I ended up in the Army. We were not on the line. We were behind the line, driving trucks, cooking, unloading ships, and so forth. And so that's it. So you did the same thing in the service that you did in life. Servitude. You were in servitude. This was when I was 19. Trim, wasn't it? Have you seen the story of the duck yet? No, you didn't know anything about it? This is me driving that duck in Le Havre, France. At that time, amphibian truck had just been organized. They would just come out with it.
They're talking about when they're on the battle lines and they're in the truck that can drive on land and sea. I think that's what amphibian means.
Most of the duck outfits were black soldiers. Most of us were drivers. And the duck, you see, could come right out of the water, right on land up to the front line. They wouldn't give us a machine gun on the duck. You're supposed to have a machine gunner and a driver, but they didn't trust blacks with ammunition, so you didn't have a machine gunner.
So the brother's saying even there as well, they didn't trust black people with guns even then. So when they got into war, they didn't want to give black people weapons to defend themselves, but they were on the front line facing bullets, so they were driving black people, war people from back and forth to certain venues. This is something that, Europeans denied it when I was in a debate the other day, but this is what it is. One gentleman, there's many different stories of a similar thing.
So you were out there by yourself. They sent us to England, Porthcawl. We went from
One other thing, the reason we're showing this is well for many reasons, but a lot of people are maybe kind of not best pleased with some choices that maybe many black people make. We have to understand the history of mistreatment, the history of training people to be self-destructive. You will see this kind of outcome, right? So I understand that as angry as you might get at black people, save a bigger portion of that for the people who made black people that way.
England to Omaha Beach. Omaha Beach, you went through Europe. After Europe, you went down Panama Canal. Then they sent you over to Manila. I was in Yokohama. Overnight, Truman bombed Hiroshima.
We're gonna stop that there. We're gonna listen to a quick one from a Caribbean guy. He's talking about when he was in the war. Let's go to the thing. This is Caribbean West Indian people.
Live to see certain things happening. For instance, now Britain is more or less a multicultural society. Over the years, quite a few of my comrades always suggest, well, why don't you put these things in a book, your travels, your life and everything, so that the generation, the future generation, sitting down in a pub with your female friends having a drink, and 3 or 4 white Americans approach and they look around and say, okay, get out of here. But when you say that word to West Indian, it's like putting a red cloth before a bull. Things have changed comparatively. Well, I didn't dream that I would live to.
What the gentleman was saying is, he'll be in a pub in the war, whatever it is, and the Americans would come over, and because they're so used to being segregated, they would ask the black people to leave and use N-words and stuff. Stuff we knew. Where are we now? What's this? So we got other videos, but don't forget to like and subscribe. This is a good one. We'll watch a few minutes, about 2 minutes of this. Big white Jamaicans back in the 50s. Wish to join the show, click on the link and jump in. Don't forget to like and share and all that good stuff that like you care. Hooray.
In 1954, about 10,000 West Indians came to Britain. In 1955, it is believed another 15,000 will make the long journey. Already their coming has caused a national controversy, but one point must always be borne in mind. Whatever our feelings, we cannot deny them entry. For all are British citizens and, as such, are entitled to the identical rights of any member of the Empire. Now the end of their journey is near. What will they find in the land they regard as an El Dorado? Somerleyton Road houses many of the 3,500 immigrants who have settled in Lambeth. Not exactly the paradise so many expected. At number 49...
So, even in the 50s, they're saying, well, the areas we put them in wasn't the best.
Mr. and Mrs. Austin live comfortably with their children. They are lucky, for many of their fellow immigrants have been crowded 6 or 7 to a room with a weekly rent of 30 shillings each. Mrs. Morgan and Miss Edna Young have lived in England happily for 2 years. Samuel Davis works as a machinist, though he is a qualified commercial teacher. He too counts himself lucky. The labor exchange usually finds jobs for the immigrants within a few days, if they're employable. Some, it must be remembered, have never tackled any of the jobs that are vacant. But for many, there will be wage packets of £9 or £10 a week, and contrary to reports, the influx of West Indians does not cause unemployment amongst the white workers. There is work for all, coloured and white. At a nursery in Code Harbour...
Very important where they're coloured. We're showing a diagram later that's important to see.
Harbour Lane. Their children are cared for whilst the parents are at work. The children are often the main reason for a West Indian's immigration. My child, he says, must have a better education than me. It is a policy that can only bring good to the British colonies. A plea for controlled immigration was taken to the Colonial Office by Lambeth's Mayor, Councillor White. There is an acute housing problem in the borough. 10,000 are on the waiting list, and naturally, a further Jamaican influx is not favoured. When interviewed by our reporter, the mayor put forward an answer to the problem.
First and foremost, of course, is the long-term policy that ultimately will have to be adopted. And that is the development of the West Indies themselves, because that is the only answer.
So I think this man's saying, stop them from coming to England, develop the West Indies. I think they've been so good about reparations, but they didn't want to pay it. So we don't know if it's just more so get rid of black people.
To this particular problem.
The West Indies, the travel brochures tell one, are gay, sunlit islands, a tourist's paradise. The West Indian who works in the sugar plantations for a few shillings a day thinks differently. True, his music is gay and his homeland sunny, but hundreds of his friends have no work and there is no dole. Many years ago, Lloyd George referred to the islands as the slums of the empire. The ramshackle, overcrowded houses tell why. In the markets, there is food for those who can afford it. For those who cannot, Britain seems to provide an answer. Eagerly, they borrow their £80 fare. The market in Brixton is for them a happier place than a market in the tourist's paradise they have left. Much of the outcry against the immigrants arises from the colour bar, which legally does not exist in Britain. Nevertheless, we accept with little criticism the fact that thousands...
Was that the colour bar in the Caribbean? Was there a bar by colours?
Thousands of white foreigners, including 15,000 former enemies, have made their homes in this country.
That's a very good point there. Very good point there. That's why for this, let's go back 4 seconds. Just
have made their homes in this country.
Rewind again.
Thousands of white foreigners, the fact. Nevertheless, we accept with little criticism the fact that thousands of white foreigners, including 15,000 former enemies, have made their homes in this country.
So they're saying is the Europeans who came here, a lot of people fighting against England, but we rather see them than black people. Very important you understand this, because this is a very important thing to know.
Bill Strachan, in the centre, came from Jamaica during the war. He became an officer in the Royal Air Force and flew as a bomber pilot. Bill, who now works in a council office, sums up the feelings of West Indians who wish to settle in Britain.
People from the West Indies here have no enmity towards any British people, and in fact will be a strength to them and are extremely ambitious. I can assure trade unionists that there'll be no problem with them undercutting trade unionists, and I can assure them that they will help in the cultural life in this country, and every attempt on their part is at social integration and being completely happy and cooperative with the British people. We don't want any special privileges or anything more than any other British worker has in this country.
A pathetic sight. Yet they ask no pity from us, only that we respect that all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. Does the answer to these Britishers' problems lie in Britain or in the West Indies? And yet perhaps, if we dig deep enough, we may find the solution hidden within the conscience of us all.
A pathetic sight. Very interesting use of word. There you go. So let's jump back to the thing. So the topic of the day was we discussed if black people should fight in European wars. We're just doing a history of what's happened before and how black people are treated, and we're saying should we fight in European wars. We looked at some kids who say no. That was interesting. Very good to see that. What we're going to do as well. I've been doing a diagram, funny enough. Let me see if I can find it. There we go. That's right. That's the next one there. All right. So the second topic is, we discuss why black people are also called the sun people. So we're going to look at a video. See Brother Cal as well, some of my brothers. They talk about names and stuff. And, black people have many names. Black people, Africans, Negroes, you name it. And one name that's been used is Sun People. It's a new name that's used, not necessarily new, but it's a name that was picked by, I would say Leonard Jeffries. It could be wrong. Maybe he got. I have to read some of his documentation. But people of the Sun, and I think I've got some video of him talking about it. But what I've done here is I've put down this ABC community, aka the Sun People. And what I've done is I've designed this triangle kind of pyramid thing, I guess, right? And I've used these terms: African with a K, black people, and colored. See there? These three overall arching terms are historically have been collated together to be one people. So obviously people in the Caribbean and the Americas and who are descended from Africa were called black people, as well as people in the Asians and the Melanesians as well. People who are in Africa were called African. Now obviously we talk about Black Africans, we talk about what they call sub-Saharan Africans or Afro-tropical Africans. Black women talk to those Africans as well as the black people as discussed, but also people with one black parent have also been known historically as colored in South Africa, biracial, mixed black, and this kind of thing. But also some people have also been used colored, but we'll get there in another term, right? So what we're saying is this diagram shows you that in the middle you see the sun people. There you go. There's the sun people, and around you're seeing that African people, black people, and colored people are the sun people. See, so when we're trying to, the reason why we're trying to define who people are, regardless of names, is the most important thing. Like I was saying to the gentleman who jumped on, is who can practice the lifestyle, because ultimately we're saying that we're looking for the community to look within the community, wherever it might find itself, to find solutions. So knowing who's in the community is important. So when we talk about Africans, we're talking about sub-Saharan Africans. We talk about black people, we're talking about generally black people. And we're talking about colored people, we're talking about people who have one black parent. All those three groups there, we can call them the sun people. And we can say people of the sun are some people, and we can say those people, those descendants, or those collective groups or different groups are practicing black belt. So hopefully this diagram will make some kind of sense. It makes it easier. What happens, what you're going to find is the more you try to go out and you try to spread some kind of unity, some kind of constructive work, people try to throw curveballs, and then they'll say black people are not African, African are not black people, or mixed people ain't black, and then some people agree, disagree. And I think for me, it isn't whether a African is a black person, or a black person, a colored person. It doesn't really matter. Really, it's more so, are they within the collective grouping that can practice black bearment? You see, either they can or they can't. Either they can inherit this or they can't inherit this. Either they can work together, either they can't work together. And that's why I will be using the term, as well as Brother Carol and others, sometimes when it gets confusing, we're talking about some people. And we've got a diagram just to make that concept make 20 more sense with all symbol. Because like I said, symbolic imageries and those kind of stuff makes learning easier. If you didn't know, now you know. So I'm always going to be designing things to make things make more sense. Now, just to make this make more sense, we're going to look at this one or two Leonard Jeffrey talk about where the term some people came from. Very interesting way. And there's this other thing that says that unfortunately the word African, take or give, or black, or colored have all been named by non-black people. Apparently Africa might actually be of African origin. We've got good studies there. But either way, people throw all their theories around. But if a brother did come up with the term some people, then I'm going to support even more, because that's how black bearment works. You support black concepts, black ideas. So listen to it, brother Leonard Jeffrey, see what he's saying.
Development.
Might be a bit quiet, so turn off a bit if it is a bit quiet.
And so we talk about two cradles of development. We're not talking about millions of years ago. We're not talking about hundreds of thousands of years ago. We're talking about that period of 50 to 60,000 years when the ice dominated Europe, and that this was the result. This particular article in Newsweek refers to the Ice Age in Europe, and this article is entitled "The Way We Were: Our Ice Age Heritage, Language, Art, Fashion, and the Family." And it's a very intriguing article because it comes out of an exhibit that was at the American Museum of Natural History dealing with the European Ice Age experience 20, 30, 40,000 years ago. And the interesting thing about this is that as we went down to see the exhibit, the major thing in the exhibit was this particular item here, which may be hard for you to see, but this is an image of mammon bones that have been put together to make a shelter. And the subtitle is "A Condo on the Russian Plains." And I call it the Bone Motel that the Europeans put together for development and for survival. But this is what I meant by the ecology of survival and the deficient ecology of the northern cradle. These bones put together was considered an achievement. This was the biggest thing in that exhibit. The monumental achievement of the Africans is their monumental building to their God concept, seen by the pyramids and seen by their great temples. And so I think it's important for us to appreciate that. In fact, when we make the contrast between African development in the sun and European development in the ice.
There you go. So he's saying that how Africans were in the sun and how Europeans were in the ice. So you might hear brothers call Europeans white people ice people because of their history in the ice, and Africans are black people, and some people because of our history in the sun.
The value system of caring and sharing that comes out of the sun. The value system of what I call the communal, cooperative, and collective development, as opposed to the
sun value system of communal, cooperative, collective development.
Value system of the ice. And I've given it that nomenclature because ice fits what I want to say is the value system. It's a crass individualism, taking care of me, even in neglect of.
So talking about individualism, that seems to come from the ice kind of concept.
Of your family. And a competitivism, an amoral competitivism for C. So you have I for individualism, C for competitivism, and E for exploitation, super exploitation, exploitation of by any means necessary. So it's this value system of ice which contrasts the value system of the sun, which becomes the important foundation for our understanding of human history. So if we look at a timeline, the timeline has to be in relationship to what happened in the ice, in the northern cradle, as opposed to what happened in the sun, in the southern cradle. And Dr. Du Bois, just like Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark and the others, has postured this relationship, that civilization developed in the southern cradle, and barbarism developed in the northern cradle. So this important dichotomy between north and south becomes important because it tells us, in the dimension of historical development, what was happening in the caves of Europe and those areas where the ecology was not favorable, and what was happening in the sun of Africa and the river valleys in southern Asia and in the Americas, where civilization was developed by sun people. Now, it's important for us to have documentation from European sources, because even though our great African scholars like Dr. Diop and like Dr. Chancellor Williams,
where did this video come from? YouTube. If you type in Lord Jeffries and Ice People, you'll get it. We'll stop it there. It's a very important video. But we're just talking about a brother's perspective on collective systems and naming conventions and why he uses some people and ice people and mountain people and this kind of stuff. Very good stuff. Big up Dan Deeds as well. Big up Empress Christie, Sister She Reigns. Big up Brother Stanley. Big up everyone. Big up Brother Dominic. I was also going to cover something as well, which isn't in our topic, but I'll bring it in as well. Let me add that. So one other thing on the topic as well is shock jocks and this kind of stuff. Did I? Is it here? Let me see if I got his name here. Hold on. Did I move it? I did. So we're going to pause this for a minute. Hold on. You open it. So quick thing.
You can go.
Put that down very loud. All right, cool. Big up brother Sarah here. For those who know Sarah, he used to go Speaker's Corner. He got a bit controversial when he was working with a white supremacist, I suspect a white supremacist, and he had to distance himself from her. And then obviously a lot of brothers and sisters weren't best pleased with that connection. So some get messages. But I'm seeing on his page now that he seems to be talking directly to black women. So before it was women, that's black women, as we assume. But I think the question I'm asking is, this is the video of what he's doing now.
If you go through the shows, you can go through Badders, you can go through Love and Hip Hop, right? You can go through The Real Housewives of whichever one, choose one.
Okay.
You can go through all of these reality shows that consistently, and all over social media, whether it be the podcasts, whether it be stuff people are posting. There's a lot of the time that black women seem to be half naked, fighting, attitude. You don't think that's out of control behavior?
Again, I don't judge people on what they decide to do. They can do what they want to do.
So then how do you keep people in line?
You're not meant to keep people. You can't keep people in line. It's not your job to keep other people in line. Obviously, be your brother and sister's keeper.
But imagine you just spat in my face right now.
Okay, no.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like someone would have to keep you in line, right?
No. In what sense?
So it's okay to just go around spitting in people's faces?
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if I was to now spit in your face, right? And somebody came to me and obviously someone's going to be like, rah, like, you don't do things like that.
Right, that's keeping you in line.
Okay.
Right.
But when you're talking about But then that can happen to anyone of any ethnic group. It doesn't have to be a black woman. This is what I'm saying. And then
I
even the
understand
shows you've listed,
Uh-huh.
of course they are all black women.
Uh-huh.
But this is what I said, if we flip it and it was all white women, no one calls them out of control. They say it's entertainment.
So as the video's playing there, I'm seeing like our black women. I'm assuming it's like out of control or something. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, 1,000 forgivenesses. And don't get me wrong, Brother Sarah is someone who's obviously raised in the media. He used to act on one of these ITV5 show, Channel 5, a show, some show. And he has a history of understanding media and how to, get algorithms and this kind of thing, right? Well, I think we do, one of the challenges we face here is black women or women in general, well, let's say black women. It's a high algorithm topic, in it. And the reason it's a high algorithm topic is because women tend to be defended by their men. So whoever is most vulnerable, you can actually get more of a cheap shot in. So we try to apply the technique here that, men reform men and women reform women. And, we come together and exchange notes and stuff. Obviously, this brother has his own method of what he wants to do. But I think it would be good to have some communication with him at some point where it'd be interesting to know what is the overall goal of what he's doing here, or what is the motivation to do this, as to go in public and ask, are black women this or are black women that? Because I think for a man, what would be a better conversation is, are black men building? Do black men value black families? And with the goal to make black men value black families and black men build industries. So that's a conversation. But I don't think he's going to have success with this black man talking to black woman about what he perceives black women to be out of control, whatever it is. But obviously he has his own issue and he can defend himself. But right now it's just that needs to really be observed. But we are joined by Brother Kel. Welcome to the family, Brother Kel. Black Betterment.
Black Betterment son, brother. Black Betterment.
Yes.
And Black Betterment to the son.
I'm glad you're here, brother. We've got I've just designed a diagram that was passed to the family about the ABC community, aka the Sun people. I've just designed a little grid here just to break down why we played some Leonard Jeffries explaining the sun system and the ice system about the European. Yeah,
brother.
There you go. There you go. Yes. So the idea, for those who don't know, the idea of this pyramid is what happens is when black women is very particular. We're talking about black people, African people working together, or some people working together, and black better means you can only work with black people, right? So establishing who our people are, but sometimes when you go amongst the crowd, people try to throw confusion. So we're going to design certain things to highlight. So one term that Brother Kale and myself are using is Sun people, just to make it easier. But there's a history there. But also, even more importantly, it is a name that we know black people have pushed forward, or African people have pushed forward. You see, so sometimes you talk about there's three primal groups or words or collective or individual groups or whatever it might be when it comes to black Batman or a B1 or Pan-Africanism, and it comes down to the African people, the black people, and the so-called colored people, right? And what that might mean. So we understand that we have African people, we have black people, and colored people. One person might be all three at once. One person might only identify as once, but either or. All those terms we know are part of the collective group known as Sun people. You see, so whenever we're trying to find solutions and someone tries to make us go in a circle, we go, yeah, Sun people, and we can move on. So because that way we've already defined who that is, so we don't have to argue with people about definitions and content, right? And obviously to make it, remember we say the ABC community, African, black, colored. There you go. Colored meaning what they call the South African concept, but also historical people of color was used. There you go. It is what it is. So if people want to understand the diagram, I'll break it down. But we welcome, obviously, Brother Kel, Black Betterment, and also Sister Kush. Welcome to the show. Black Betterment to you both.
Black Betterment family.
There you
Black
go.
Betterment son, sister. Yeah.
Right. So the three topics. So there's two topics. Oh, where's the finger? There's two topics we will talk about. So we discussed if black people should fight in the European wars. What actually motivated that is this actual video I saw here.
That you're going to war, what are you gonna tell him?
I'm gonna tell him to just like bro, you fizz. Like for starters, you feel I'm going to war that you started. Like what? Come on now, use your brain.
I know. Why you not gonna go to war?
I ain't going to war because it's like, bro,
Yeah.
it's England. Why am I fighting for a country I don't like?
Oh, you know English?
Nah.
Where you from then?
Yeah. I'm from Jamaica and Africa, innit? So, mommy needs to ship me to Niger, so I need to be safe. Safe.
Oh yeah, Miss Monday. Say no.
Oh.
There you go. The young king's there saying he doesn't see any logic in dying for wars that it wasn't really his, and the government seemed to be causing. But we have also covered the history of how black people were treated in war, which is last week and this week. So it's good to see the brothers of a young age speaking with some sense, and that's very hopeful to see that.
Definitely, that was a nice video.
It was nice.
Thanks for showing that, bro.
But unfortunately, when I jumped in the comment section, that's where it all kicked off, and obviously many Europeans were saying, "Go back to your own country, or if you're not going to fight, don't stay around." That kind of stuff.
Of course.
I then asked questions like, "Well, what do you feel about black Caribbeans and Africans wanting to fight in the first two wars, and your ancestors not giving them guns to defend themselves?" And they didn't answer that.
Crickets after that was it.
Yeah, crickets. And the reason I bring that up is because I think when me and Brother Kel were on one of the last shows we were on, I was trying to obviously motivate brothers and sisters to work together and this kind of stuff. And when I was talking about black men not being allowed to have guns to defend European men from other European men, a European lady said, "This is lies. This never happened." And one thing we got to call out is when a non-black person uses deception to cause confusion with historical facts. You see, it's very important. It's actually a weapon, very good weapon. You see, it's just like we saw last week with the Asian lady who disguised herself as a European, was saying that America isn't racist. It's never been racist. Was the quote? There's never been racism in America. You see, this is it's never been a racist country, is what she said. Even though the foundation was built upon the actual promotion of racism. You see,
that's right.
So you have to call it out when you see it, and you have to call it out to try to get black people synchronized. The goal is to get as many black people to practice black Betterment as possible, and sometimes, or most of the times, you might have to use the double dilemma to help you, and that is collectively have no friends, and we use those examples as clear evidence. You see, deception, very important, very important. Let me see what else we got. Also, we don't want to dwell on it in a negative way too much, but we just played another video of obviously Brother Sarah doing. I'm not aware of him doing this, if it's old and new, but I just saw the board that says "Are black women," and I'm assuming it's something out of control. I could be wrong. I assume because, and I think what it is
it could be, what did you say? It could be. Did you say out of control?
I'm assuming that's what it is. I'm assuming are black women. It's some kind of word like this. So because his hands is blocking it, and I haven't got the full video. But the only reason I'm saying it is because I'm aware that the algorithm is very plentiful to people who go against black women or try to highlight conflict amongst black women.
I will say, Brother Raven, as I speak as a man, right? Which I am.
Go ahead.
I will say that men, they have to be careful how they lead their women. You can lead your woman, to kind of, you can lead her in a way that can make her be receptible towards foolishness, or enlightenment, right? And women are very clever at how they adapt. You understand? So they will kind of watch what you do. And they'll test you to see if you're a leader. Now, a lot of us have problems with that, right? And sometimes it can get very suffocating, but there's wisdom in it because they have to see, where you're going with this path, and they're going to throw everything at you. And the man must be able to deal with that, to let her know that I've got this under control, and we're going somewhere. But the problem is, because we don't understand how women think, it looks like they're, sorry to say, devils want to harm us psychologically, but they're very vulnerable. And I myself, who's married, I've experienced a lot of things with my wife during the 20-something years. I mean, I've had the Sun people help me out. You know what I mean? And it's no secret, man. But yeah, that's what I would say with Sun brother Sarah, is that he has to understand that our women has been led the wrong way. They've seen so many things that happen, and there's no accountability. So because they've been led that way, and it's more comfortable to look at it that you're not going to do anything. That's their defense mechanism. So until we sort ourselves out, they're going to remain led, or so to say, molded that way. And that's where us men are saying to ourselves, well, why are you like that? When in actuality, we've molded them that way, if that makes any sense.
No, I do hear that. I do hear that. And this is the thing. One of the things, it's very important that obviously, the internet's there and people make videos and people comment, but we want to educate men not to jump on the negative bandwagon towards black women, especially when black women are giving their kind of testimonies. We saw, like I said, I get these algorithms, I download them, and there's black women talking about, their experiences, and then you might get some brothers who jump in and just disregard it, right? And this isn't good. At the same time, I can understand why there's men who are not best pleased with seeing certain things on certain algorithms, but once again, you if you're not building industry, if you're not building infrastructure, if you're not coming together with other brothers to find a solution, then unfortunately what was before will continue on. And like I said, we understand concepts that I think I'm so psyched now about this rapper Sexy Red and who's funding her albums, and it's the actual the technique they're using to cause controversy, to sell and stuff. And it's once again, it's it's corporate European people doing what they're doing, but never really doing it for their own community, especially Jewish people and these kind of people, like, they won't ever degrade their own community. So yeah, it is an issue, but I do want to I don't know why brothers. Okay, we're getting more that for whatever that means.
Was the title? Did the title actually address black women, or was it just women?
What the one on his backboard?
Yeah, the one that you can see.
Yeah, it says black women, and I'm assuming, knowing this the way his page is set up now, with the manosphere kind of talking points, it's something, are they lost? Because when you go and hit this brother's page, it's just mainly like imagery of women, black women, I should say, on the USA network, screaming and shouting, and then him showing his face, not approving or whatever. Don't get me wrong, I understand that if someone has a certain page, but the issue is, it's for me, it's an easy kind of target. But also, and this is, when I see him, we'll talk, whenever that is. But I don't see any solution pushed forward, or even his analysis of what is to be done, if what he's saying is correct. But if he's going in public and he's doing these things now, I suspect it's because this kind of topic will get good algorithm. And once again, we'll get.
Still getting algorithm. I don't get any of his stuff anymore. So it just, from an outside perspective, as a black woman, it just looks like it's just like, he had his heyday with Pearl, and he's just still gripping onto the one bit of I don't know, some form of publicity or popularity that he thought he had, that he's trying to cling on to, because what he's doing now reminds me a lot of what Pearl was doing when she'd go around in London town and like on a Saturday night or a Friday night and start interviewing women and just making them look bad. And that's what she was doing when she was coming up, and that's what she'd use to then start using it as a questioning to the people on a panel, and she'd have them on a panel.
Yeah.
Or she'd have them on their little shorts. And I'm not even sub to her, but I used to get a lot of that. There was a period where that was just really getting pushed.
Yeah.
And happening for a lot of people. So the fact now that he's resulted to doing this as well, it's just clinging of a desperate man. And it's just shameful that he's using low-hanging fruit of, like we all know by now, to say the black woman's the most disrespected woman.
Yes.
And you've got a black man upholding that, aiding that, and continuing that on. And I think that when you talk about him being a shock jockey. I think that is very accurate for him.
Yeah.
But I think it's a question now to how long are we just going to let him do that? Because I feel that we've seen from our brothers and sisters overseas, and don't get me wrong, I think America has done so many things that as a collective, as a diaspora, we can be proud of.
Yeah.
They've led the way on so many things. There's so much demonstrations of them being great, beautiful leaders. But there has been times where we've seen that certain people, and this has been from way back, have just been allowed or been picked to be this meme of the black African American or the black American now. And it's just a bad kind of stereotype, right? And that's just carried on and carried on and carried on. And since that, we've seen and we've recognized as a community that those people have done nothing but harm. Those people are just used, like obviously the algorithm's going to push him, even though no one's really, this whole hate black women, I feel like his phase has passed, and anyone who's been associated it, unless they have to cling on to it to dear life because they have no other avenue, has kind of just disassociated from it. I think the things that have happened, like with the passport bros, and they've been murdered, and it's just quite an embarrassing kind of whole movement at this point. So if he's still clinging on like this, I just kind of think that we know that from past people doing that has been used. So that's what I'm saying. The fact that we're still seeing this, I just feel there's a greater power that be that's pushing this kind of mindset at this point. I don't think as a collective, as a people, even people who are not of Black Betterment mindset. So even if you look at the general stuff, like if you're going through Instagram and what is it, Shadesborough, you can see the kinds of tone of, oh, here we go again, or people are genuinely not just like the people who are trying to think higher, but as a collective, even though we're not moving as fast as we'd like, people are getting tired of it. So for these kind of people to still carry on, I just feel that what are we as a community going to just do about it? Like, I don't think, I just, at this point, it's just, like I said, I haven't seen him. So for me to see him again, I already knew it was going to be a problem. But when I saw him and you press play and he's outside, I'm just like, well, isn't this how Pearl started out? Like, it's quite sad. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you're actually now on streets with a mic or a phone going up to women and just antagonizing them with questions. It's freezing cold. Is this what we're doing now?
I would say, sis, is that exactly what you said. As long as we kind of highlight the strategy, what the unsynchronized Africans are doing. For example, we know that gender wars is very marketable upon the unethical code of conduct system. So anytime there's an African descendant who's indulging in this, we know that it's to get their panel or their channel up there with controversial, because it's one of the most marketable things. Love and hip hop, what do you call it? The only way is Essex. If you watch them types of programs or read certain books, it's also do with conflict. Conflict stirs emotions. It gets the crowd puffing. So we know what it's doing. We know, So as long as we highlight that the Sun brother is being unsynchronized by creating gender wars and have that as a movement, then anybody who does that, we can always just, like, for example, like a buzzword, oh, gender wars, oh, you're creating division, oh, we know what you're doing, this is part of the unethical code of conduct system. That kind of waters down the movement, what they do. So yeah, we need to do that.
Yeah, because like I said before, I haven't spoken to the brother in a long time, so I don't know where he's at, but it's not too far away from this kind of stuff. Hold on.
A black man takes a girl home from a nightclub. She says, "Show me it's true what they say about black men." So he stabs her and nicks her purse.
So it's not too far off these kind of stuff where you're trying to degrade yourself heavily.
He actually looks like that caricature. You know what we were talking about a few years back, a little while back, right at the beginning, when we showed the history of the character of the black man, just dumb and dopey, and remember?
Oh yeah.
Ages ago.
Oh, you mean from the olden days or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just even like the way he's laughing, like, and he's just, look at him. It's actually just quite, when you disassociate emotion from it, like, so I'm not going to find offensive with the dumb joke he did, and you could just look at it from a higher perspective. It's just actually, he just looks like a cartoon character. Do you know what I mean? It's just this role that they do, like the forced laughing again, going up to a black woman on the street, doing this again, antagonizing her, knowing she's going to be filmed. This is what I was saying before about when we were showing the things about the underground and the attacks, and or the other video you showed about the guy just coming up to the woman randomly on the road. It's like, it's just, there's a lot. Like, I don't know. It's just, I'm just looking at it like in a critical way, and it's just a game. Look, the same play, a black man going up to a black woman, and now look at this dumb joke that he's doing. What is she supposed to do? No, that she's getting recorded on the road.
Yeah. And there was another, I didn't want to play, I'll play this other one as well, though, so I can find it. So this is in America somewhere.
Thinks you're really hot.
I think there's a European woman who walks up to a black man and says that his girlfriend finds her attractive. So maybe because she's European, the black man might stop and talk to her. I don't know, but just...
But she's shy. I'm trying to be a good wing woman.
How you doing? Okay. Can I get your number?
Yeah.
That's the one you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm just a little shy.
I'm being a good wing woman. She's shy. What's your name?
Good.
I'm Daniel.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for being a good
Nice
sport,
meeting you,
Daniel.
Daniel, don't do that to me. Damn. Okay. He did not even want to touch me.
He said, "Oh, that's the one." How are you?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, so these kind of pranks that they're in, getting a black man to dress up as a woman and get a white woman to try to get black people, whatever. But this is the kind of like pranks and obviously they escalate, don't they? So what we're getting is they go from one point to another until you have someone just doing the most debased thing they can. And I'm not saying Brother Sarah was there, but I do ask the question of what motivates this kind of content, and what would his overall goal be in doing this? It was shock jock because I think when the brother first came on the scene, his thing was against Abrahamic faith, but more so Islam. And that's another shock jock kind of thing that caused many problems, but got lots of viewing. And I'm hoping that it isn't just shock jockism. I'm hoping that they say he was raised in Pan-Africanism and black nationalism.
He come on like as a Garveyite.
This is what he was saying, yeah. And it's just I do want to talk to black men in general when they are critical of black women, but their strategy seems to be like from a sidelines pointing fingers and making jokes. Like one thing I want to ask these brothers is there any examples you have on your page of a black woman that you're best pleased with? Is there because naturally we understand that you have unsynchronized black men and synchronized black men. So naturally, you're going to have unsynchronized black women and synchronized black women. So is there any? And this is why I'm saying why I understand the shock jock and the algorithms. I understand why people do it. But I think that when it comes to black people and you talk about black nationalism and Pan-Africanism, this kind of stuff, obviously when I see the brother, I'll talk to him in it because I know this guy. We used to talk in Speaker's Corner. But he.
You should. I think a lot of the people that have known him or have been around him, and especially the brothers with sense, do need to have a real serious talk with them. It's as you would expect if a sister that I was going around with was a Garveyite and doing this and was doing something so detrimental, you'd be like, right, you're not going to talk to your sis. It's about time that it's unfortunate to be in that position. You never chose for yourself to be in that position, but tough situation takes tough choices. Do you understand? I'm not saying to say it publicly, although it would be nice to have a private conversation with the brother and then someone actually challenge him on his points, because his points are, I mean, come on, bro, like we need a brother to challenge him back. So that would be good for future terms, but in the initial set, and I'm just talking when it talks to the philosophy, the general philosophy within us and the practice, how we should be moving, I think a lot of brothers should have already pulled him aside and had a word with him. I think it's time that happens.
I'll be honest with you, sister, and I mean this with the most ultimate respect to the Pan-Africanist family. How I was raised, you know, that when you do something that's unsynchronized, and I've seen it with the elders. I've seen so many things. What some of the elders have done is that they will tell them to step down and be part of not a capital regime anymore, but more be like a supportive role. And the reason why they used to do that, and some of the elders didn't understand that when the older elders used to do it, especially in Birmingham, is that it's a way to kind of refine your character back again, to humble you, and to remember that you move as a collective. And that's why I understand that when you take on this leadership role, it comes with a lot of consequences. A lot of people would say to me, "Oh, why don't you kind of, you know, go to Speaker's Corner and show?" And I'll say, "Well, there's Brother Shakara, Brother Raven, and there's others in that, right? They're more disciplined when it comes to that. Whereas for myself, I'm not saying I couldn't do it, but I don't want to put myself in a situation where I kind of change. Do you understand? I don't want to underestimate because black people, we are not a joke. We're not to be exploited. Do you understand? So the brother, if he is following Pan-Africanism, I'm not taking that away from him. He should know that in Garveyism, etc., that the rules are you have to step down. You know what I mean? That's why I always say when I first came on the Black Betterment organization, I always said that the code of conduct is the leader, and the collective uplift that code of conduct. So if one of us make a mistake, right, we can always say, well, the code says you can't do that. You see what I'm saying in that? The code tells us not to be too emotional, but the code has allowed us to dictate this. So as long as the brother is someone tells him that in Pan-African you step down, right? You can go back on the throne again, but it's just to refine you so you can be more better when you go back on the throne, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think with this with the brother here. So I think the way he's done his interviews before, I think he I don't know. It's interesting because there's a lot of brothers. I think they said they've tried to reach out to him, but since certain things have happened, he's kind of been unconnectable. So I assume that will happen again. But for my history with the brother, what I remember was he was in Speaker's Corner. I went there, and when I went there, he was causing quite high anxiety with a lot of his anti-Abrahamic rhetoric, and because of it, there was fights and stuff. And I remember I said, you know, I'm gonna try to sort out some of these fights and try to get some kind of peace going, and you know, get him, make sure that he's not in too much danger, whatever it is, and have actual proper discussions. And I remember, you know, he was just talking to like Arabs and Asians, and I was trying to mediate to make sure that it didn't go a certain way. And then what happened is he got in a disagreement with another brother who was at the park, and that's where it kind of after that happened, when he got in a disagreement with other brother, that's where you know, people weren't really speaking anymore because it was like there's this rift amongst black people in a park. So I've never really been.
So Brother Raven, with all due respect, so how did it get onto attacking the gender who contributed 50% of civilization from the Abrahamic? How did you get on that bad? Because the moment you attack the other 50% of the community, and that the community is going to fall down. So how did it
The
get
thing
to
is,
that?
here's what it is, right? For when I go to Speakers, and this is all peaceful, the brothers who go there, right? Most of the brothers who go there, they you know, they specialize in certain things, but there's always like one or two areas that is always, you know, most challenging to them and stuff, right? So I think with brothers like him, when he did come across to me as someone who has a history in performance and a history in understanding audience, right? And the reason I can see is because I come from that background when it comes to many years ago with theater and stuff, right? So I see it. And when you do marketing and this kind of stuff, you know how to get quick responses. Now with me and what we do here, it was a deliberate thing of research of trying not to be a shock jock kind of strategy, because the shock jock strategy is the Speaker's Corner primal way of getting like quick views. But the issue is that the damage is long lasting. It causes actual wars, right? Where people generally hate people, and then, you know, and it's unnecessary wars that black people don't need. And I think with him, I could be wrong, he can defend himself. He was someone who saw the value in the shock jock strategy, right? And
yeah,
and the shock,
also, sorry to interrupt, but also just to add on to answer Brother Cal's question, and he's even done an interview saying that he has some issues in his personal life.
Yes, this is I'm getting it. That's very true. Excellent point. And that's what I'm going to show you the bridge. So when he went there, it was I don't agree with Abrahamic faith because of how it treats African, and I'm pro-African. And then that obviously got him at war with many of the Arabs and Asians and stuff. And it seemed to be a one-way thing with Islam rather than Abrahamic faiths at a certain point. But then when he got in a disagreement with some of the black brothers, he disappeared and reappeared with this European lady. And I think at the same time, I think he might be, like Sister alluded to, he might have gone through some kind of breakup with his queen or his wife at the time. And that seems that correlating with this new woman talking about women are not this and women should do this seems to be that mixed with the shock jockism seems to be what is guiding here. Because he was, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I do want to say, because I think this, also talking about this and even seeing, I think Brother Dominic said that was KSI, the last guy, so he's quite an influential person on YouTube. I watched the Monique interview. I don't know if anyone's watched it.
Not yet.
Yeah, and that is very telling as well because, okay, so I don't want to ruin it for everyone then.
Right.
So I can't really talk on it, although the clips are out and stuff. But
I've seen clips, and I mean, unless it's like I mean, I know that Cat Williams, right? I think Cat Williams started off because that Shannon guy's got a show, isn't it? Where he lost his job and he's got a new show or something like this. And in this show, he's revealing certain things about behind the scene industry talks or whatever. And I think Cat Williams started it off mainly with the behind the scenes of what he's gone through, and then I think Monique might be co-signing, and she's also on tour with him as well. I think.
Oh, is she on tour?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't. I think that's an interesting take. I don't know. I've got my own theory about Shay Shay, but I was speaking to my partner and he kind of broke down some things about him, which kind of rang a bell. So I don't know if there's any Americans I want to jump on to clarify because I don't want to murder it, but I know that he played for the NFL and he's a really good player, so I think he's kind of loved within the community. And he was then doing what do you do when you commentating? So he commentating games, and he was with a white guy, and the white guy really talked down to him, which really the black community kind of rallied around him. He's now, I think my partner said he's now moved on with another guy. He does his own show, but he does this on a part-time, and he's been interviewing for ages. But I think the Cat Williams one was the one that just shut it up in the atmosphere. Cat just came on and dropped the bomb. Like he set that narrative off. It wasn't like Shay Shay wanted to be a conspiracy behind the scene kind of guy. He's not even that kind of rough, I think. And I think Monique's come on next to just talk her truth as well. But I think Monique is a case that just gets brushed under the rug so much, and I just think she'll be a case that probably later on, like typically throughout history, we'll probably appreciate later. So I'm glad that the light still gets shown on her, like she's not going nowhere, and we get to hear her story. And there's a lot of demonstrations of what we saw here. So, for example, there's one scene where she says, obviously people might not know or know, so I'm not going to go through the whole story, but there's an incident between her, Oprah, and Tyler Perry. It was a big deal. And she had a recording that's already been exposed. She exposed the recording, and Tyler Perry admitted that he lied about her, and he set that ball rolling notion saying that she's hard to work with, which literally blackballed her. And he admitted that he started that up. And she's proven how that has literally stopped her work. Like she gives you demonstrations of how that stopped her work. And so how she suffered and her family suffered off of a lie. And the fact that thank God she got it recorded, right? So it's out of his own mouth, okay? So we already know this is already out there. So she's talking to the guy, Shay Shay, and she says to him, you've got the recording, right? And I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to leave it because when I was watching it with my partner, I rewinded it and I asked him to look at the reaction. So I'm not going to say anything on that. Hopefully we're going to study it after. But he then then looks at her and she asks him again, you've looked at the video, I've given you the clip, the clip that I've leaked, you've heard him say it for himself. And his answer to her was, well, Monique, you're not meant to really record people. Yeah. And I'm just kind of saying on that kind of narrative of when it's time to hold people into account, it got backtracked to, well, you're not meant to record. Not about the fact that there is a recording of our very few billionaire literally admitting that I've just, do you know what I mean, messed you up. So it's just, and this is in the interview, yet alone her showing demonstration of signs in real life, like she's mentioning names that we all know, and different things that happened to her that was just, a liberty, a backstab, whatever you want to call it, from some mainstream names. So it's a good watch. But yeah, just even on the interview, and I just think it's again that kind of attitude when we're watching shock jockeys or the low hanging fruit of just going for black women, or just it's just there's this kind of accountability or that necessary. That thought doesn't come first. The first thought is
I hear
to
that.
put the onus and the pressure onto the black woman rather than actually that's the wrong thing.
Sister, just for clarification, you're talking about the host, the Shannon brothers.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So here's another thing. This is me. Obviously, this is very shocking or controversial, what I might say.
And bearing in mind as well, I understand, again, I think I'm saying it again, is in regards to, I understand that they're all in entertainment. He's got a YouTube channel. He's going to want guests to come on next, right? Again, with the same thing about in regards to our community as well. We might know people and stuff like that. But I think, and this is what Cat Williams kind of highlighted and was saying, like, if you haven't noticed, if you look around, this is the time of reckoning. This is the time of truth and righteousness, and some things have to be spoken and said. Because like I've been saying for time, people don't understand it sometimes in the nicest possible way. You can please brother, and this is the way, and show it to them, but they're not hearing. That's like what the old saying was, my peoples and my mum used to say every time, if you don't listen, you must feel. You understand? So yeah.
And what I'm going to say is this, and this is, some people might be shocked by this, but sometimes the behaviors beforehand might help paint a picture of where a person's mindset is. So if the brother you're talking, the footman, very talented brother, but what I remember from him was marrying a European woman, and then I think getting divorced from her to marry another one, and so it's like, so from seeing that already, and then seeing how he describes his love interests and stuff, and I think maybe one of them might have done something bad to him, but maybe she left it for another person or something like this, and it was the way he reacted. So. And we can correlate this to say a brother Sarah, not that he's with a European woman, but the way he was around from a partnership standpoint with the lady who was suspected racist,
the Ice Woman.
The Ice Woman lady, Pearl. Sorry, there you go. The way he was, it's like I would like to think that if I'm around someone, even though they're on my same kind of panel, I would like to highlight something. Hold on a minute, what you're saying might not work in black people's best interest. Right.
Yeah.
And when you're not seeing that already, so the fact that a person's even there, like I'm from a generation where just even being there, you were suspect. You see?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But
when I'm saying that, I'm not saying that to you as like to you or anyone on the panel. I'm just saying that as a collective now, because this is the same thing that's affecting what we're talking about now in regards to what you're just talking about in regards to our space. It's the same thing effectively as what Monique is saying about the black space within, or what Kat was talking about, the black space within the comedians, or what Monique is talking about again within the black space within the comedians or the acting field, because she talks about Oprah. These are the same. So we're having the same problems. It's showing up in different ways, but effectively, there are certain people that they're not getting it, and they're causing a big problem.
Yes.
And when we have this fight about I was gonna say snitching, but obviously we're not talking about going to the police, but you know what I'm saying, like calling out our own publicly. We look down on that because of historical reasons, right? And they were valid at that time, but this is a new time, and the face that's knocking us down like that are looking like us. Does that mean? And so I feel that the rules now have to be adapted. And I just, you know how I look at things anyways, family. And I'm just looking at all of these things that's happening around us within our community. I'm like, this is a time of reckoning in different ways. And it's all saying the same thing. It's the same thing with the P. Diddy thing. Like, it's all the same thing. So it pulled out to me. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that. Welcome, Brother Stanley. Black Batman 2, Brother Stanley.
Hey, what's up?
Not too bad.
Hey, Brother Stanley, Black Batman.
Hey, Christian. I actually agree with a lot of what you say, but also totally disagree with other parts. And the only reason I even called in, I was happy in the chat, but here is my take. And before people start calling me unsynchronized, these, number one, in a way, I agree with you. Why are we even on YouTube talking about this? You know, these are millionaires who are like, even within, especially the Black American community, it's not just race. It's always been a class issue, and it's too complicated to get into why there's a class issue. But you could trace it back to like a talented tenth thing. But that's not really my point. I don't understand what Club Shay Shay and who appears on Club Shay Shay. Why do the normal Black people who are working every day and raising kids and families, why do we care? Why is it even a topic that's worth talking about? And yeah, I watched a little bit of the Monique. I watched like the first 30 minutes of it. Pretty much watched the whole Cat Williams thing. And I just didn't identify.
So why did you watch it?
Why is this a
Why?
Black person's problem?
What made you watch the Cat Williams one?
Well, mainly because of all the hype. You know, I'm not immune to hype. And I like Cat Williams. As a matter of fact, I've seen a couple of his shows. He is funny, but he's also an entertainer. I like Monique. I think she's wonderful. And you know, back in the day when I was young, you know, when Shannon Sharp was playing football, but it's still, I'm, and y'all help me. I'm really not making pronouncements here. I don't think anything that I've heard on Club Shay Shay is anything more than entertainment. I don't see it as important to the Black community.
Well, just to put a disclaimer out there, I'm the one who brought Club Shay Shay out. I'm the one who
I'm not fussing at you, of course.
I know, but I just wanted to say that Rap Raven didn't bring it out. But I do think that was a good question that you asked. And I just think that for me personally, I think, well, like I said previously, I have never watched the Shay Shay guy before Cat Williams. And now I've watched the Monique one. So that it was just the people that he had interviewed. And I think that that's what made it big. He's even said that having him on there has just changed it just made his channel grow. So I went on there
Well, don't get me wrong. I love seeing Black success.
Right,
but
exactly.
it's
I think that's
kind of
part
a
of it as
different.
well. But that's okay, and that's a part of it. People do regard Cat Williams as a successful comedian. A lot of people take to him, and to hear him talk about an industry that's idolized, but perhaps move a bit snaky, or to find out the ins and outs of that kind of entertainment or business is intriguing. It's an eye opener, and also I think for me it was the matter of it's all crumbling down now, anyways, and that's why I mentioned it in regards to Hollywood in general. Right? Look around, what's
I don't
happening.
think it's breaking down.
I personally do.
Yeah.
I personally. And I think within the music industry, what's happening with Diddy, because I'm still keeping it in-house, right? And this is why I mentioned it. So to have all of these exposures, I think is necessary. I think it's important for us to analyze it and see what happened and get the information and utilize that information. So that's why, for me personally.
But see, I
I
don't
would
think
say,
it's
Brother
important at
Stanley.
all. I think it's
Yeah.
all entertainment. It doesn't
Oh, it's
affect my
also
day-to-day life.
entertainment as well. It's also entertainment as well, I'll say.
But Brother
I mean,
Stanley,
the
you're
only thing
forgetting.
that it's really
Hold on,
taught
hold
me
on,
is,
brother,
my
brother,
God,
brother,
you
brother,
know,
brother,
talking
brother,
to
brother,
my
brother.
son, don't be
Am I,
famous. And if you
brother?
are,
Am I,
don't
am
go
I,
and
am I?
watch
Can
Shay
Stanley,
people
Shay.
hear me? Is
we can
people
hear
all
you,
right?
brother Stanley.
Is
Can you
everyone all
hear?
right? Is everyone okay?
Yeah,
You know what I
we,
mean?
yeah,
Has
brother
the
Stanley. Can you hear? We can hear. Yeah, carry on, brother
right,
Cal. I think brother Stanley's mic was
right.
I
still.
don't think it's important, is my point.
Okay,
All
right.
right, go ahead.
Well, the sun's out, brother Stanley, and synchronizations at night. So all I'm gonna say is that you know the charismatic energy, brother Stanley, is very important, and it's good for us to understand that anyone can be charismatic. You know what I mean? Knowing how to steer the massive, knowing how to lead them is very good, but at the same time dangerous. So we've got loads of people who are in these particular platforms, and comedy is very entertainable. But the ones who are doing the comedy or the comedy act, they're very charismatic. And what I've noticed as a Pan Africanist is that Marcus Garvey's persona and Booker T. Washington, etc., that is no longer rated no more. It's more these entertainers. You know what I mean? These athletes, these footballers.
That's an
You
excellent
know what I
point.
mean? That is all. So me
That's very
growing up
true.
in movements, knowing that okay, the revolutionary, articulate one is not like, but these entertainers, right, are more like now. That's very dangerous. So the fact that we have to kind of teach the massive that remember they're just entertainers. We have to kind of water down their message, even though they may be saying correct thing, because it confuses us. You know what I mean? The fact
Yeah.
that they can be
I
entertainers
totally agree
and then
with that.
call us, we
Oh
can't
my
do that. So
Lord.
that's why we have to shut all that down. That makes any
I
Yeah.
sense.
totally agree with that. Essentially what you're saying is, kids, don't be read a book. You know, you can, all I have to say is and I'm sure she must have, I'm sure Shay Shay must have, but how many of them have read Marcus Garvey? So I think you're absolutely right. It's entertainment, shouldn't be taken seriously, which was my point. Read about Marcus Garvey. I would rather my son read about Marcus Garvey than watch Club Shay Shay.
Yeah, but I mean, what we'd rather and what the real world is what the real world is. You said that you don't understand the point of it, but you sat down and watched a 2 hour interview with Cat with 2 hours and 40 minutes worth of it.
Yes, but
Right.
I didn't
So
watch all of Monique.
okay, but do you know what I mean? So that's the reality. But I think I agree with what Brother Cal was saying that, highlighting them and realizing and seeing that these are not these people that you put on a pedestal, or these not gods,
Yes,
or these not the people that we go to or
yes.
should be allowed to now go to and speak on our behalf about political things. Like that's why you've got these political peoples going to rappers and things like that and endorsing them and just thinking that they don't have to go to anyone intellectual or anyone who will challenge them or anyone who has black first in their mindset to go to
Finally.
or ask them the hard questions. So yeah, that's
I can't tell you how happy I am to say that I agree with you and Kev.
Mhm. I mean, a clock is right twice a day. So
Oh, come on, you had to spoil it.
sorry. Sorry.
Right. So let's see. What are we doing? Hold on. So yeah, let's go back
And
to.
Kale's the clock.
So does that answer your question then, brother Stanley?
It
Just
does.
excellent. Yeah. You said there was something you didn't agree with. Something. So you don't agree. You said you don't agree with.
Well, I think I think Christy pretty much answered my question. I don't agree that it's important, and it seems that she's got it in perspective. Kale put it in perspective, and I'm okay. I'm don't have any issues now.
Mm. So for those who joining, I think there was a gentleman who joined for the first time. I think he found the link on. I've invited a few shows in the past, and I think one show when he came in, there's like a theme in this show of black people are not best pleased with black people all over the world, but their thing is to disassociate with black people and and essentially maybe even go into other communities. I think that's what they were getting at. I don't know, but it's very important that we highlight like the stages of, because what we see brothers and sisters who are not best pleased with the condition of black people, which it's okay to understand that, to see that, and but then rather than but then at that point there's two options: you can either be conquered by it, or you can try to conquer it, right? And it seems that without them knowing it, they've been conquered by it, where they are talking about wanting to then go into other communities because they're so. And this is something we have to be aware of, like there's whole panels made up of this kind of philosophy. People, and we should recognize it as a form of trauma, really. It's, but yeah, I think one of the brothers might have jumped on earlier. I could be wrong, but he seemed to be going that way.
Yeah, he's all right, brother. I know. Was it Zulia? Because I was sorting some things out with my family. He goes on a lot of panels. He's obviously he's one of the Sun people, but yeah, he's been on certain panels that he's displeased the way how especially because like we're African descendants, but we suffer with not unifying with one another. So there's loads of like superiority of different tribes, and he's
Yes.
around that, unfortunately. And I always I'm with him. I get where he's coming from, but we have to synchronize, and because we could easily go back to our tribe, and I'm gonna more be on the West Africans that can't do that because we have to kind of be everyone. You know what I mean? So yeah, I know where he's coming from. Yeah, I get it, man.
Yeah, I suspect that might be in him as well. That and that's the thing. Yeah. So if that's where he's going, then we definitely, there needs to be some kind of education of values of why we don't do certain things. I don't know, but
Hey, brother Kale, I have a question for you. What do you think of Du Bois?
you're muted, brother Kerr, if you are speaking. But I think brother Stanley asked you, what do you think of W.E. Du Bois? W.E.B. Du Bois? Maybe he's busy at the moment, brother. Still, what do you think, brother Stanley? What's your views on?
It's kind of funny. He's a brilliant writer. That's no, you know, that's not even in question. But in some ways, something Kale said, something Kushti said,
Sorry about that. I was just on
I
the
can
phone. So
kind of,
yeah.
I can kind of see where someone like um, Garvey was a little bit more real. Now, personally, I tend to be more Du Bois. I'm a book reader. I'm into all that academic stuff. But
Right.
I actually think I see Kale's point about you have to know Garvey. You can't not know Garvey. Agree or disagree. So, Kale, my question was, what do you think about W.E. Du Bois?
Yeah, W. Du Bois, he's one of my heroes. He's a Pan-Africanist. Um, you know, the issue that I have with him only is that sometimes, brother, when you leadership again, when you've got your heart set on to lead people and that, and you're not favored at that particular moment, it can breathe a lot of envy and hatred. And like a lot of us have the philosophies of Garvey, and what Garvey went through. What I mean, he suffered on synchronization by W. Du Bois. The brown paper bag movement was very prevalent in that time, and when he
Yes.
challenged that, they basically united with the ice people to go against him. you know, and he couldn't understand, like, if we're all Pan-Africanists and we're all genetically dominant, whether you dark skin or light skin, you know, why are you kind of dismissing what the dark skinned Africans are going through? And W. Du Bois, and he's, as I said, he's my hero in that, he was being very unsynchronized. He was saying that's not the case. We've got this movement now, you know, where we are where we need to be. And you know, he understood that the whites should be, you know, in charge, and then we who are light skinned, and then afterwards, and that's why Garvey formulated the UNIA. You know what I mean?
Well, let me
But
ask you a
W. Du Bois,
question though.
go on, go on. Yeah.
I think in the end, now it's kind of a tenuous argument, but where did Du Bois die? He
Of course, yes. But the thing is, brother, is that yes, he understood afterwards, right, that the unethical code of conduct system, just because you are light skinned, he understands you're still genetically dominant, and we're going to have something over you. Yes, he died in Ghana, and yes, Kwame Nkrumah, one of my heroes as well, helped him out, etc. But brother, sometimes you know you have to catch the right plane and not miss, because you get in the wrong plane, you're going to miss the benefit sometimes. And he could have just synchronized with Garvey at that time, because they were very powerful. Instead of arguing with him, instead of getting Rudolph, who also was a light-skinned African, to sabotage the Garvey movement. All this, brother, cost a lot of things. Yeah,
you
go
mean
on.
A. Philip Randolph?
Yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? So the point is that we have to synchronize, and regardless of whether you're dark skin or light skin, why Garvey is very important is that he brought nationalism. I'm a nationalist, brother. I don't hate non-African people, but I understand that if you can nationalize everything, you know, whether it's your wife, your kids, your economics, etc., that is how you're going to be successful. The ice people, the mountain, the sand people, all of them are nationalists, brother. Even if they use you or make you believe that there's some form of humanity thing going on, at their agenda, it's nationalism. So the African, the Sun people, where we've called ourselves this name. In East Africa, they call themselves the people of the sun. In West, in Nile Valley, because the sun represents illumination and enlightenment. You see, so this is why we use the movement or the marking of sun people. The black woman is a luminous in complexion as well as mindset, just like with the black man. It's very prolific and very marketable for us to call ourselves that. But we are Africans, but we use these labels. You understand? So Garvey understood these things. So nationalism is the way. Now, some people disagree with that because they have personal relationships with non-African people. Okay, but remember, the world is run by nationalism, whether we like it or not. So.
I wanted to ask the question to the family. This is quite random, but I know it's quite late. But I just wanted to see if it would be a few months ago. There was a story, but I didn't really hear much of it, of an infiltration. So it was on the British side. So what is their one? I forgot what their secret service is, but they went undercover in a black organization. So they got I can't remember. I think he was mixed race, but I can't remember. And he came into the organization acting like obviously he was for the cause, but he wasn't. And he met a woman and ended up being with her for, I think it was between 7 and 10 years. I can't remember. I've just got those 10 and 12. I've got those two figures in my head. Between that much years, had a baby, everything. And she only just recently she found out a few years ago, but it was only as recent that she could air it out, and even their names and stuff are all blocked out. I don't know if anyone's heard about this.
This is England, you say?
Yeah.
And what was the movie they tried to infiltrate? What was the movie?
No, this is what I'm saying. It's very vague.
Ah, right.
It's very vague. So even the names and things, I'm gonna be on my little researcher tip and find out.
Sounds
Because this is kind of the problems that we're going to face, these are the problems that have had happen through inception of us collectively being together and infiltration. And if people among us talk about it, it will be called conspiracy theories, or just, you've gone too far, or you're in the clouds. And then you have this where it's a real life story of this happening. And so for that much years, a guy can sit there and take in information, work out, work boots on the ground, be about the cause, and every day or every week he's reporting all that information for years on all the individuals that are in there. And on top of that, he takes a sister and have babies with her
and all that, and he's still double agent, really, isn't he?
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
So here's what I say to that, and it's very important. Whenever you do collective black work, Pan African work, or any kind of work of this nature, you're studying the past, and the past. You see that most of the times black people taken down was from within, because it's very easy to compromise a brother. You can offer them something they don't have and say, look, we'll give you more than everyone else. So the solution to this is a certain way of operating where you make infiltration almost worthless. So when I start and I say, don't swear, don't mistreat other people, be constructive, have everything black focus, part of the holistic solution to that is, well, if everyone is here is just doing constructive things, then there is no open big discussion about things that might shut things down, like harm this person, or let's mock this person, or let's try to do that. That's not something that we need to do willy-nilly, like but also being constructive. You see today there are what's his name, so we won't mention names, but there's black brothers who, they get jobs in Hollywood or wherever they get it, and then they have an affair, or they have a relationship with a woman or a man, as it seems nowadays, and then all these things come out, and it's like, that's why within the code we're saying, okay, when I go there, no fornicating in the group. If you want to find a wife, declare it. Blah blah blah. It's like having certain rules. A lot of people think when I say rules, it's because it's this robot kind of thing, but actually, it's a holistic solution to being infiltrated as well, right? You minimize weapons that can be used, right? So a video of a black woman or man just screaming and shouting, hating other groups, that can be used to then play in it to shut down. Look, this is a group of hate. Whether black people, that's why I say that the very important code is we don't do this for two very important reasons. One, it's not nice, and two, because it can be used to undermine black progress. That concept works in so many ways, where the idea is you can have an infiltrator in an organization, and all he's going to do is get bored and leave, because it's just like they're like robots. They come here, they just talk about black people, they're constructive, they're not plotting against anything. The only thing they're plotting is to fix black people. You see, if there's anything else that needs to be plotted, it won't be done at a mass level. It'll be done much more on an individual level, if there was such thing that of any kind of plotting that could happen, right? Because it's more than just infiltration. People who are not infiltrated, people who are actually a part of an organization, can flip at any minute because of a disagreement they have with a brother or sister. I've been in many organizations where, because of a disagreement with another brother or sister in the organization, that person becomes bent on destroying the entire organization, like without delay. Like a tell-all story immediately. You see? And what I'm saying is, in order to protect black organizations from that, you have to have a code, and the code makes things very boring to the average everyday person. So when I say things, don't fornicate, don't take drugs, don't swear at each other, it is very boring lifestyle, especially for a party animal kind of person. But it defends the organization from these scandals that come out when you want to go buy a record label or a record company or a news channel. So you go to the mine, the next thing you know, there's a million scandals of you sleeping with men, animals, and all sorts. It's like, okay. Well,
can I ask you a question though?
You most certainly can.
And this is, you're going to beat me up for this, but isn't that what a family's for?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, I mean exactly that. I mean,
bless up, sis Melanie.
Don't go. Hey, Mel, don't fornicate, don't do, things that are pretty much destructive, not just personally, but just in general. To use your term, not nice. That's what parents are for.
Yeah, but unfortunately, a lot of brown sisters might not have parents or any kind of guidance because a lot of people who do this kind of work, they're usually like self-reformists, as in they've gone through a certain level of abuse, and at the edge of that, they realize that this I need to be a part of the solution process, they are become one with this abuse. They've been shaped by years of mistreatment. So at any minute they can switch back into doing, or they might not even recognize that the behavior pattern they're doing isn't normal. So sometimes you go into certain families' houses and one kid might be throwing things everywhere, and he has no idea that in other households this is not how people behave. He's been allowed to do it, and it's become normalized. So that's why we have set rules. And some people, whenever I say when you come to this organization, no fornicating, no smoking, no drinking. For some people, this is like, what do you mean? Isn't that why you join organizations? I'm like, no, sir. This is not why you join organizations. You could do those things outside of organizations. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can do that. But when you join here, all those things will be used to undermine black progress. All of those things. So this is what I'm saying. Codes of conduct are important.
Okay,
Peace
so I
to
mean, I
everyone on
can
the
kind of see. You go ahead, Mel. My bad.
I wanted to say peace to everyone on the panel. Big up yourself.
All right, sister.
I
What's up,
and I wanted to just comment on what Stanley's question was and Brother Raven's response, and I wanted to highlight that like I think what Brother Raven is saying is that like being a part of an organization that is has like a Pan African and pro Black Black nationalist perspective, it's kind of reteaching some of these principles. So when you're saying isn't that what family is for, when your interpretation or definition or understanding of family is it could be or possibly from a perspective that is outside of that of the direction of which we're trying to go in. So that it's kind of like wipe the slate clean. We're not like we family. So because like for me, Sister Kushti, that's my sister, right? To a person who has a Western mind, they're like, oh, like I heard it today on Veli show. Oh, how are you related to that?
Sis, your microphone mic jumps. Do you want to say again? You on very sure what happened? I think a sister's microphone might jump.
I was saying, someone said, "How is that? How are you related to that person?" Right? And to me, that's a person from a different orientation, a different mindset. That's my sis. I don't have to explain how they're my sister to someone who has some like westernized, non-African principle mindset. I gotta explain to them how someone who's of my culture, who's of my history, who I have a shared experience with, how they're my sister. I don't. My sister don't ask me, "Oh, why you calling me sister?" Why do I need to explain that to someone else? So what I'm saying is, family. When you saying, "Isn't that what family is for?" Well, every people have different definitions of family. Are you talking about the African perspective of family? Are you talking about a Western perspective of family? So for some people, they're immediate. Them, their spouse, and their children. That's family. For some people, their grandma, aunties, cousins. That's family. For some people, everyone in their ethnic group is family, right? So if what Raven is talking about is creating and cultivating a culture with new definitions, new terms, new understanding of how what the code of conduct is based on new definitions of what family is, what culture is, then you gotta see it through those lenses. You can't take this other lens and now place it upon that because family means something different. That's my response to Stanley's question.
Thank you, sister.
Well, my question to you is if you're asked respectfully to like explain, is that okay?
Wait, I missed part of that, but I am experiencing some audio. Say that again.
Well, I mean, as long as someone's genuinely curious and asks respectfully, you're okay with explaining, right?
I mean, but they may not it's like I'm telling
But if
you,
they
they're
ask, they want
asking
to
how are you
understand.
related to that person? That's not who says that family you have to be related to. They're
Well,
they're
I
superimposing
don't
that
disagree
definition.
with that. I don't
Yeah.
disagree with that. All I'm concerned about is if someone doesn't understand and respectfully asks, you're okay with saying just what you said. I thought what you said was great.
Yeah, but I'm saying that to a group of black people. Me personally, I'm not seeking approval. Like, why, like for me, if an Indian person from India understands what I mean
Right.
is family, how does that benefit me? How does that benefit my group? How does that help us achieve our goals? How does that bring us closer together? It doesn't do anything. Like, I don't care
Totally understand,
if they get it
but
or not. So I wouldn't
if
exert
someone if
energy in
someone
explaining it to them.
asks with respect and they're genuinely curious, could
No,
be
I
some.
mean, I'm telling you, me.
Okay.
I don't
All
know
right.
if Brother Raven would take the energy to explain it, but for me, I'm like that's just what we do. Because I mean, I
Okay.
don't. I would just say
I
that's what
got
we
it.
do. Yeah, I wouldn't explain it to him personally
Yeah.
because I
I
don't
think
know. To be honest with you, I don't know what Jewish people do. I don't know what China. I just see them working together. I don't know what they do. I don't know if they got a special hand sign code. I don't know if it's. I don't know. I really don't. And you know what? They've never taken the time to explain it to me. I just see the work, and because the time that they take to explain it to me, they not working. They not building, they not coming together. So I I don't need to explain. Like to me, it's kind of nosy and intrusive. Like why you trying to find out how other groups function? Why should I explain to you how my group is functioning? Like that's just weird. Like worry about your own group. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how I would take it. I don't know if everyone
Well,
else
I
would.
was assuming it would be a black child, someone, a young black person asking it. I
Oh,
didn't
someone from
know a
within the
Jewish
group. Yeah.
person or, all these. I had no clue where you were going to go, but I meant
Okay.
like,
Oh, someone from within the group. Well, then, yeah, if they're unclear, then, yeah, it's worth explaining it to them. I would agree with you then. Yes, I must have misunderstood what you were saying.
I'm sorry. You know me, I'm horrible at asking questions.
So, someone from within the group who is unclear about, you know, some of the new rules or the new like what the purpose is or what the like when he says, hey, do not fornicate, do not like if you just say that and you don't say why, right? Then yeah, it's worth explaining it
Yes,
to them.
that was
Yeah.
my point.
Yeah, everything is done for a purpose, brother Stanley, isn't it? And one thing we're saying is, one, something can be seen as not nice, but two, it can be used to undermine black progress. And I think what Sister Kushti was talking about was, a person's inside an organization and their job is to sabotage it, and they're just taking any notes as possible, and they're waiting for someone to do something that could be of a nefarious nature to then use that to completely discredit the entire organization. So, like, that's why I always ask people when we speak like that. I give them the examples. I say, well, it's that same. I think I gave an example where it's like if you have a daughter and you're giving her medicine, alleged medicine, and I say, don't give your daughter that medicine because one, it will poison her, and two, she won't like it. If his response is, well, I don't care if you don't like it, then clearly he doesn't understand what I'm saying. You see, because when I say it's not nice, people go, I don't care if it's nice or not. Well, actually, it can be used to undermine black progress, actually might be a very severe thing. And that's what should be the focus, whether it's nice or not, whether you can or can't. It's like, well, if something can be used to undermine black progress, maybe as a strategy, I just don't do it when I'm in this organization. So maybe I don't turn up drunk in this organization because it can be used to undermine black progress.
Yeah, I think in regards to scandal and exposure, I 100% agree with you. I think for a long time now. I think that I understand, and that's why we call it politics, because it's like it's a political game. It's politics.
Yeah.
It's politics. So
Mm.
I understand, and 100% agree why we don't give them the in to destroy.
Mm.
But in regards to another side of things, is when you get an infiltrator, though,
Mm.
their main objective is to gain information. So
Yeah.
they might be the person who doesn't talk much, is always on time. In fact, it's not a person that will, do anything unsynchronized. They're quite
Mm.
straight, narrow. And of course, if you're there for like the example for 10 years, I think this was like from the 90s or something like that. I don't know, like late 90s, mid 90s. And obviously you're just there, you've been there for that long, you're just collecting information. And I think, although I know sometimes there's a backlash on why you have that stance, I think most of us can understand that in certain circumstances, it just makes sense to do that. I think even what, for example, I wasn't around really for it because I've just kind of been away, but I did hear about like the whole C word and that getting accused of being said, and then I think a family member never actually said it. And I think from that guy that used the word interviewing or something, and I think that's a clear example of why you stand and why you say not doing it, because had everyone been unsynchronized, that would have been his exact go-to rather than going to the real points that the family probably was murdering him on anyway, right? So it just makes sense that in certain scenarios the best play is to be synchronized to get to the point and to get to the end goal. But in regards to infiltration now, this person will come in and make sure that he's quite synchronized. So when that person is within the system, their whole job is to stay there as long as possible and not be detected. So they're not going to do anything to be unsynchronized. And I think that would be a very hard, and and we've seen things like this as well in regards to this great movie that I loved. What is it? Judas. Something in Judas. It was a recent movie.
Yeah, it was like Judas and something or another, which
Judas
is
and the Messiah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
that's like what, 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
Yeah. So I think we've always seen the tactics that they're using and the fact that they're still using it now, because even outside of the black space in Britain, there was that exposure of the white guy who went, and I think they were just oil for naturists or something like that. I don't know if you remember, that was a big thing, and it found out that he was undercover for X amount of years, had a wife. So we know that these are the trends from this agency that does this in Britain. It exists. It's a real life thing. It happens. So right, so I'm just saying that alone is it's going to be hard to point out who that person is, right? If they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, because that's the point. They're supposed to be undetected. They're not going to be unsynchronized. So I think that's another reason why it's so important for us to be able to feel comfortable to hold ourselves to a code and not a person, and to be able to always be able to just, have a culture where it's understood that we check on each other. It's a check on each other with love, and not interference. But it's also the reason why doing that is just to make sure everything is still kosher. So it brings back to the issue of us being able to talk to those around us who are doing wrong. It's important. We need to have a culture of just having a clean air about things. Like the real things can be talked about. And I think that's just like a thing for our culture. That's why I say it's a bigger thing as well. I just think this is a general thing for our culture. So I just want to bring that kind of mindset to the conversation as well, because I don't know why I bring that up, but I just bring that up out there. I'll get more information, but it's just resonating with me. I've just been pondering about these things, and it's just, you know, a lot of the things that affect us are the same things over and over again. It's just showing up in different ways, and it's about our mindset and the way we move within a culture, within ourselves. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. So I'll definitely look into it more as well to find it for you, because the infiltration thing was, I think, it was scary but interesting. So yeah.
Thank you, sister. We definitely want to cover that. So get information and we'll definitely
I will do.
Sounds good. So, family, we're gonna have to give our final thoughts. Big up to all the brothers and sisters who jumped in. Big up to brother Kel who left. Big up to I think Mel left. Yeah, she's gone at the moment. Melanated. Big up to her. Also, brother Stanley and left with Kush. Any last words before we go, family?
Yeah, just big up to yourself, bro. Another great show. Big up to the family in the chat as well. And big up to all of my fellow panelists as well.
My final word is it's always good talking to Brother Raven, Brother Kale, and Sister Kushti, and certainly Mel. It was awesome.
Have a good day. Until then, until next week, Black Bear Talk to all Black Bear Men. Check in next week. There you go. See you, family.